Among the natural curiosities to be found in Monroe County there is, situated near Sparta, an enormous bluff which is about 600 feet high, having on its summit a large circular rock, and from its resemblance of an ancient castle it has received the name of Castle Rock. It is about 5 miles northeast from the city and surrounded by a range of bluffs, and is plainly visible for a long distance along the St. Paul Railway when approaching Sparta from the east. For a great many years it has been a resort for picnic parties and travelers and a curiosity even to those who reside near it. The top can now be reached by means of a ladder, and a view from its summit unfolds a beautiful picture such as only Wisconsin can produce, and on a clear day even the hills of Minnesota are plainly visible. Around this beauty spot has been drawn a delightful romantic legend from the pen of D. McBride, Esquire. Now deceased, formerly one of the editors of the Sparta Herald, which runs as follows. Some 200 years ago a roving band of Senecas made a raid upon the land of the Dakotas, while the latter were on the warpath, in pursuit of the Cheyenne, and captured Yahara, Silent Water, daughter of Kenotanakan, War Eagle. A terrible storm having struck down the Seneca chief and the majority of his followers soon after the raid, his brother, Pagiamia, took the captive girl to the French missionary station, at the point now known as Mackinac, where she was ransomed by the missionaries and put under the charge of the sisters until such a time as she could be returned to her relatives. At this place Silent Water made the acquaintance of a young Frenchman by the name of Leclerc, who had been banished from his native land for killing a person of rank in a duel. The two lonely ones became sympathizers, and a tender affection sprang up between them, which was soon interrupted by the appearance of War Eagle, who had, after some months, succeeded in finding the whereabouts of his child and had come to take her home. Leclerc was lonely after Silent Water had gone, and he resolved to seek his love in the land of the Dakotas. Taking an interpreter with him he stalled out on his journey, and after many stirring adventures reached the camp of War Eagle. He now found that the old chief had betrothed his daughter to a favorite, Mamta, who looked on Leclerc with distrust and jealousy. Finding that their love was hopeless if they remained in the land of the Dakotas, the young lovers planned an elopement. They left the lodges while War Eagle was on the warpath, but were closely followed by Mamta, who led them a hard chase, until he was finally slain by the arrows of Silent Water. In their wanderings, for they were journeying towards the missionary station, the young lovers discovered the bluff, now known as Castle Rock, the beauty of which so charmed Silent Water that she begged Leclerc to make a lodge there for the season, at least, and he reluctantly complied. The rock became their castle, and on its very summit was their wigwam erected. Autumn was beginning to brighten the oak leaves with a ruddier hue, and the lovers had concluded that they would shortly continue their journey towards the missionary station when an incident occurred that dashed all of their hopes from them. War Eagle, who had spent the intervening time in searching for his child, came suddenly upon them, just as they were preparing for their departure. Silent Water discovered him and his followers sitting at the base of the rock one morning upon arising from her couch. The chief and his men were in council, and when the council was ended the former advanced close to the rock and bade his child, whom he could not see, to come down, declaring at the same time that he intended to kill Leclerc and to take her home. The lovers resolved at once to die together if either must die, but they also concluded to sell their lives dearly, and they made instant preparation to defend their fortress. The siege lasted for several days, in fact, until all the arrows and ammunition of the besieged ones had been used, then, clasped in each other's arms, they awaited the end. War Eagle, on finding himself no longer opposed, boldly ascended the rock and aimed an arrow at the breast of Leclerc, which was anticipated by Silent Water, who sprang forward in time to receive a death wound, thus for a moment saving her lover's life. Exasperated by her death Leclerc smote War Eagle with his weapon, and having rendered the old chief senseless, hurried the body from the eminence. A moment later the Frenchman yielded up his spirit at the hands of War Eagle's braves. The rude storms of 200 years, says the romance, have torn and crumbled the stately form and graceful battlements into small rocks and sandy debris at the base of the rock. Its beautiful flowering shrubbery and noble crown of evergreens have long since disappeared. Naught but the scraggy stubs and roots of the tall red cedars that once adorned the lofty summit are left to tell the sad and melancholy tale of the fearful tragedy at Castle Rock.